2cast.
Let the games begin.
In 3, 2...
Welcome to the Portal 2 cast, the only show dedicated to making you a better builder. Today is Friday Requests, where we take requests from the community and play the maps that you want me to play. First, a bit of housekeeping. Most of the maps submitted to the Friday Request thread of the Portal 2 cast group I am unable to play because they don't appear in my queue even though I'm subscribed to them. I'll show you what I mean. So here you can see the Cube of Fate. I am subscribed. Turrets Corridor 3. I am subscribed. And Hardlight Laser Bridge 1.6. I am subscribed. But if you look in my game queue, I don't see any of those. But the two that I do see, Preplaced Portals and the Cube of Destiny, I will go ahead and play. And the rest, hopefully, if we can resolve why they're not appearing in my queue, I will try to get to them next week. Preplaced Portals, The Petty Way by Stephen the Slayer. Stephen has advised us that this is rather short, and it is, and that it's not really a puzzle, it's a concept map. And you will see here there are a number of things that we don't actually make any use of, like a light bridge in the puzzle portion of the test. So here you have an entry and you're facing the exit, and here's a glass panel to travel into the next room on a timer. And once that completes, you can't get back. And just to show you what room you're in, he has pre-painted these walls. So when you walk to this side, you're on this side of orange and you're on this side of blue. And so that's meant to sort of give you the sense of where you are. So if you summon a cube here, you can't put it on this button over here. You've got glass in the way. But what's really amusing is if you go over here and put it on this cube button, and you see it looks just like you're facing the other room. It looks like your same cube is there. Where the illusion actually breaks down is if you go ahead and grab your cube and take it away from there, the other cube remains in place. So this is just a clever little optical illusion map to give you the sense that you're looking at a room, the same room, in two different places. If that's all there is to the puzzle, you have the exit here, you're done. But what Stephen the Slayer has done to sort of show you how this works is he's given you this excursion funnel, and you can sort of have a look behind the curtain. Although one complaint is that if that's the only purpose for that excursion funnel, go ahead and give it a longer timer. It's just barely long enough to hop off on this ledge up here, and there's no reason to frustrate people if they want to have a look. So you can kind of get lost up here on the upper level trying to understand everything that's been done to make this optical illusion work, even though it's a relatively simple illusion that just makes it look like you have the same room in two places. There's a whole lot to it up here, and you just get a sense for how big the puzzle is. Looks like there's a timer, and then I guess putting the cube on the button somehow summons this light bridge timer excursion funnel gate that will activate something else. I actually would have done it a different way with maybe an OR gate with lasers, but maybe that doesn't work. So I'm actually not sure how this works. I'd have to look at it and play with it in the puzzle maker myself before really understanding. But what I can tell you is that it's very clever. I think it takes a little bit too much work for me to want to use this for any real reason. It's very clever, but there are mods that give you the pre-portal placement, and I know that there are threads out there about using the pure puzzle maker and no mods and no hammer, and that's quite a challenge. And certainly what's been done here is impressive for what it tries to do. I just think that there's easier ways to do it, and obviously this is a lot of work just to even not get a puzzle out of it. So trying to add the complexity of a full puzzle just boggles my mind, but cleverly done nonetheless. Thanks for mapping this and for sharing it with us. Due to queue problems, I will next show you the Cube of Destiny by Eunice Jet. What I'm going to do with this puzzle is give you a tour of it before I attempt to solve it. I have solved it off the air, and I know what the steps are, but rather than walk through the puzzle as if I know the solution, I'm going to give you a tour of everything. So first, you have two buttons and lots of ant lines over here, and that is actually my first complaint. One thing you can do to simplify all these ant lines is all these flip panels over here that are connected to one button. Go ahead and make one of them an antline and the rest of them either signage or no visibility connection. So that looks like you'll get one antline coming over here, like if you do it to this nearest panel, and the rest will just be cleaned up. So when a player walks in, he doesn't see all these different antlines. He just sees one that goes that direction. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. So see how like at least 3 or 4 of these antlines are all connected to those things? You'll get rid of a lot of that mess and it'll be much cleaner, and you just have one antline. So when the player walks in, he's not looking at all these different trails leading to different things. And same here. You can see this button connects to those 2 panels and opens them up there. But if you wanted to clean this up, you can make only the bottom antline visible and the top either a sign or no connection visibility, and it would just clean up your room a lot as far as transparency goes. Now over here you have the exit, and I actually didn't know that there were stairs here. I guess I'm meant to infer that this antline is a connection, although it appears to kind of end there with the aperture symbol. But it wasn't until I looked at this puzzle in the workshop and saw the blueprint for it from the camera distance that I saw that there's actually stairs here. So I didn't know what that was until I solved the puzzle. It does have a neat effect when you solve the puzzle, but I actually would much prefer like glass panels along here so you can connect these 2 rooms visibly and see what's going on between them. I do like what's been done with the lighting. You have this clue of the runway here. I will admit that I didn't see this panel until I'd actually been to our 3rd room back there and came back, and I assumed that a button back there had opened up that panel. I actually did not realize that panel was up there until I came at this room from a different direction. And the reason why is because if you look at this wall, there's no lights or lines that will draw your eye up. If you look at those 2 panels there, I guess you can draw your eye back this way. It just didn't happen for me. So let's sort of approach this linearly. I'm just going to drop this here because this is obviously the first thing you can do is try to get into that room. And we're going to take our orange gel and just paint the floor. One minor note, it looks like you can get almost to the edge here with your streaks and the angle you've given us coming out of there. Paranoid players will actually want a couple more portals along the ceiling just so they can paint the very edge. The other thing you can do, of course, is just fire your orange gel up and let it land. And that'll give you painting right to the very corner there. I don't know if I have to be paranoid, but it's something I certainly am careful about because you don't want to die when you're playing these puzzles and have to start over. So here's our next room. You've got this double stairs going up to a button there, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but you'll notice when I flung, I happened to fling out of that panel there, and I landed on this ledge here, which makes me wonder what's the point of this bottom floor really at all. I would almost rather that this level of the ledge come out further so you can land, and why bother with all this running up here? But since you can portal in the floor, I'm not sure it makes a whole lot of difference. This whole room right here just could be at the level I'm standing in, instead of having a lower elevation and skip this other set of stairs to run up. I could not figure out the purpose of these 2 light bridges until the very end of the puzzle. And I will tell you, I didn't understand the purpose of this button until I had solved the puzzle. Now there is glass here, so you get a little bit of visibility, but you can see there's a convoluted ant trail, and it looks like it goes up this wall maybe and all the way around. So if you hit that, that turns off that fizzler, but I had no idea. I hit the button and I looked. Maybe if I were more observant, I would have caught that. But if the button were recessed just a little bit further, I think, and you could stand alongside that fizzler, it'd be very apparent. So if you come out here, this puzzle, I've been sort of critiquing the layout and the transparency and visibility of things, but the puzzle itself is something I actually like very much. It's a brain buster with minimal elements because you're going to look at it and wonder, how the hell do I do that? So you have this cube, and I've shown you how you can fling over to the other side, but you can just as easily fling into that open panel there. And this is the last thing I found. Like I said, I did not realize that panel was up there until I'd already been to that room on the side over there. So that was possibly my fault, but just something to draw the player's eye up to that. But you have here this button that opens the exit, and I didn't know this, you can barely see it here, but that actually opens up the stairs on that side too. I couldn't tell that that's what that did. So you got 2 ant lines coming off this. Once again, lots of ant lines. But now we know we need to get the cube up here somehow. So the question is, of course, how do I fling that frickin' cube up there? Because as soon as you take the cube off the button, you're not able to fling the cube. And even pushing it along this runway doesn't do much for you. So if you want to play this test straight, I recommend that you stop watching now, go ahead and play it. I'll put the link in the description for this video. So go ahead and quit the video, go play the puzzle, have a lot of fun, try and solve it, don't look up any spoilers, and see if you can beat this without watching the end of the video. For those who have already beaten it, or if you don't care, I will go ahead and now show you the solution. And it's a little bit cumbersome to execute. Not because it's an execution like fire portals and midair type puzzle, but there's a couple of steps to it, and if you get them wrong, it has a high frustration factor because you're going to repeat it just a little bit. So what you have to figure out how to do is destroy this cube, because the only way you're going to get enough momentum to get the cube across there while you're standing here is if that cube comes flying down through there. And my first sort of annoyance once I solved this was that there was no sort of help the player type puzzle elements here, like unportaling the sides next to this or putting lights along the exact panel where you would want that to work. And you want to be careful with that, because clues like that can give away the solution to your puzzle, so you have to weigh the cost versus the benefit. What's frustrating is when you're a player and you sort of just misplace your portal just slightly, you can end up repeating things even if you've mentally solved the puzzle. The only place in the room you can easily destroy the cube is in that pit there. So what you're going to try and do is just sort of portal underneath the cube and send it that way, and you can see it just bounces back sometimes. Another minor revelation to me was that I could come over here with the cube and just sort of set it down. And then the easiest way to destroy the cube is to go ahead and step on this button and fire it there. And then, as you can see, you get a new cube summoned. So then what you'll do, if you're playing this linearly, is you'll try and destroy the cube from here. So you might end up doing this kind of thing where you just try and fire the cube through and destroy it. I actually love watching it fling up that direction. Sometimes it just gets caught in the corner there and it destroys itself, which can also mess up your timing with the final solution of this. The revelation that I eventually came to was that while you can do it that way and quickly run from one to the other, you don't have to do this destroy the cube from this button type of thing. You can actually go very much at your own pace. Set the cube down over here somewhere where it won't fall back through and oscillate between the two portals. Then you come over here and just carefully look at your placement. Go ahead and place this, and then all you got to do is flip the cube up that way. It's going to be destroyed. Get here, watch it drop, watch it come out, and what was very well done about this puzzle is that the distance the cube travels, the fact that it's covered in red gel, I'm assuming that helps it slide, forcibly put the cube on that button, which races these stairs earlier that I couldn't even tell they were there. And I couldn't tell what that ant trail was from the other button, but when you solve it, it's very beautiful. It just opens up the end of the puzzle for you. Again, I would just love it if there were slightly more transparency to it. Even if the exit were at ground level here, I'm not sure anything would be wrong with that, or if you could just see that that opened up the stairs if you put glass here instead of the walls. Stairs and the exit open. Oh, looks like that cube is just bouncing there. I think Unisjet probably tested enough to see that this was the worst case scenario. Hard to tell, but I've done it at least 3 times, and I've been able to walk through the exit each time I flung the cubes. Well done on this. This sort of cube fling thing is pretty hard to get right unless you use an excursion funnel placement, which of course I like very much, but this seems to be almost as secured. I do like the puzzle. It's my favorite kind of puzzle. I recommend cleaning it up quite a bit just for transparency and cleanliness. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for mapping. Have a good weekend.